How's it going, guys? Rhino here, and I'm back at college. Yep, just got back earlier today. I'm glad to start a new term. I didn't have a very good spring break. I actually was hospitalized for just over 24 hours. I'm gonna first off explain that, and then I'm gonna go into a little rant about feminism. But what happened was last Tuesday morning, I woke up and I felt kind of off, kind of iffy. You know that feeling you get before you get sick. I felt like that. Not that big of a deal. And then I started to progressively feel worse and worse very, very quickly. I would say I took a shower around like 10:30 a.m. and by 12 I felt awful. I had thrown up once or twice. I think I threw up 3 times total. And I just felt worse than I've ever felt before in my life. And I've had, cases where I've been vomiting profusely. I've had, horrible diarrhea and stuff. And this wasn't a bad case of that at all. I just felt really, really sick for some reason. I wasn't sure why. I also was shaking very badly. Like you literally could see my hands and like my body shaking while I was laying there. And I was constantly out of breath. And I was like breathing really, really hard and fast. And I was just laying in bed, which is a bad sign. But around, I think like 2 or 3 p.m., I was like, Mom, take me to the hospital. And so my dad actually had to carry me. I couldn't walk. My dad had to carry me to the car, and my parents rushed me to the hospital. My dad had to carry me in. They took like my blood pressure and stuff, and I had like a 160 heart rate, which is horribly high. And then my blood pressure was normal at that time, but then I had some complications. But basically, they put me on fluids, and they put me on some pain meds because I was having really bad stomach pains. And I basically spent 24 hours in the hospital trying to recover from extreme dehydration and a potential infection somewhere in my body that they weren't able to isolate where exactly that was. But it was not a fun experience. I felt horrible. I felt disgusting. Soon after they started the IV, I actually ended up having 3 different IVs, and I had like blood drawn like so many times that my arms are literally covered in holes a couple days later still. But it was just after they put the IV in, I started to feel better pretty quick, and then by that night I felt better, and then the next morning I felt almost all the way better. My stomach was still a little iffy. I hadn't eaten anything in a while, and so I slowly started eating, and I was discharged later that day. Voice crack, sorry. But yeah, that was not a fun experience. But I am okay. I had a couple people ask me on Twitter if I was okay or not. Yes, I am okay. I had a quick recovery. I'm still slowly recovering from being in the hospital and being that sick, but I'm basically all the way better. I'm at school. I'm fine. Yeah, hopefully it won't happen again. It happened 7 years ago, pretty much the same thing, and we're hoping that it won't happen again. But now on to the rant part of it. So, over break, this was after I was out of the hospital. I was on Twitter, and I follow some people from my college, and some of these are girls. And a couple of these girls are feminists. Either that or they just promote feminism. I'm not sure which one it is. But so I see a lot of feminist things retweeted and posted, and a lot of it's really sickening if you like boil it down to how prejudiced and how misandrist it is. I don't even know. I still don't know what the fuck that word is. But it's mainly about prejudicing all men and man hating for the most part. But there was one posted, I want to say 2 days ago or yesterday, that caught my eye, and it was a comic. It was 2 guys talking together, and it was like, one guy was like, "Oh, look at her, she's a slut," talking about how like a girl's dressed, and then the guy was like, "Oh, you shouldn't call her that," and he's like, "Why? You should just look at her," and he's like, "It's because we live in a society that's okay with labeling women," which isn't. It's kind of a more neutral, more docile comic. It wasn't super like this wasn't man hating at all. although this was still an incorrect comic. And here's why. Yes, we do label women. We label them as whores. Well, actually, whore is a true label because it stands for a prostitute, which is a factual label for someone who sells their body. There's male prostitutes and male whores, man whores. So that's not a fair label. But like slut, for example, even though people still use that to label guys, I have heard girls call guys sluts. As weird as that sounds, I have heard it before, and it is something that happens. So there is that cross-gender labeling that it goes both ways. You're not just pinpointing a label that is solely produced on or solely placed on women. But the other problem lies in this. These same women who say, men shouldn't label women, I see posting things about calling guys fuckboys or potential fuckboys or anything along those lines, which is the exact same thing. You're labeling someone. Women are labeling men. And it's pretty much the same thing. A fuckboy is basically the equivalent of a slut, sort of. I don't care about these labels. I don't care about fuckboy because I'm not a fuckboy. Like, what girls describe as a fuckboy isn't me. I'm not an asshole to girls. I've been with one girl, my voice crack. I've been with one person my entire life. I've had sex with one person my entire life. I've done literally everything past kissing with one person in my entire life. I've never cheated on her. I'm still with her today. I would not be what's defined as a fuckboy. Even if I was single, I wouldn't be an asshole. I wouldn't be, doing random hookups and just ditching women and using girls and stuff like that. But it doesn't really affect me, nor does slut. I'm against slut shaming. Don't get me wrong. If someone said don't call her a slut, I would be in agreement with that. But when you label it, when you say it as a way as pointing out the oppression in women, that's when it bothers me. You're playing the oppressed card simply because of a label, when there are labels for both genders, and you're only fighting you're only stating that society labels women, when that's not the case. Society labels men too, and there are just as much expectations on men as there are women, and sometimes harder expectations than there are on women. And I'm not playing the oppressed card because I don't think men are oppressed. I don't think women are oppressed either. I think feminism is a joke because the genders are already equal, or as equal as they're going to get. Yes, there are small things that go one way or the other. I don't see those changing. I would be, if you wanted, one thing that I saw that I agree with is someone was like, oh, well, men and women are equal when it comes to rights. And then someone posted a reply that was just a picture. And it showed a picture of a man's nipple, which was not blurred, and then a picture of a woman's nipple, which was blurred, showing that men have the right to show off their nipples, but women don't. Now, I agree with this premise that, women should be equal in this way, but I don't think that it's a horrible, horrible thing. I would say most girls that I've met, even if they could, they wouldn't walk around shirtless. That's just how it is. And I'm a guy, and the only time I'm shirtless is when I'm sleeping or when I'm at the pool. So even though I'm allowed to, I don't do it very much. And I don't think I think I've never been shirtless in a video or anything like that. But this is something I agree with, not for sexual reasons, but just I think, women should be allowed to do what they want. I think personally that public nudity should be allowed if someone chooses to do so, but that, they are going to be judged one way or the other, and that's how society works. Men will judge women, and women will judge men. Men will judge other men, and women will judge other women. That's just going to happen. That's not a patriarchal society. That's just how society works. I agree with the premise, though. I would support a movement for getting that legalized. However, most of the things feminists go for are just atrocious, especially when it comes to rape. When it comes to things related to rape, it's disgusting. If you look at what these radical feminists are are trying to get pushed across, and it's just horrible. And they oftentimes lie or try to display it in a way that makes it sound better than it actually is. But if you look at what they're truly proposing, it's disgusting. I am against rape as strong as you can be. If I saw a guy taking advantage of a girl at a party, I would try to stop him to my best potential. I mean, he might beat my ass, but I would try to stop him. I'd probably call the cops and just try to get him away from her, and just try to get someone to get her away from him. But I do not support what these feminists are trying to do with rape. One thing that's disgusting is they're trying to get staring at someone to be called rape. That if I'm just sitting in a classroom and I see across, I see this attractive girl and I'm just staring at her, that's considered rape. That's one thing they're actually trying to get across. And there are things that are way worse. If you want to do the research, go ahead. I highly suggest you do so, but it's disgusting. But there are things that I support with feminism, but the things I don't support is a lot of the things to do with rape, a lot of the things to do with man-hating, and a lot of the things to do with oppression, saying that women are so oppressed in this society, when I hear a lot more women say that they're not oppressed, or that they have more powers and more rights than men themselves. So yeah, that's just a rant I had to get off my chest. It was kind of annoying me. I'd seen that comic, and I'm just like, I gotta make a video, but I didn't have my microphone. I didn't have anything to make a video with. And so I couldn't. But yeah, that was my rant on feminism. I'm glad to be back. Thanks for watching. Make sure to comment, rate, and subscribe. And have a nice day.